Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Alan. Alan is from Pensacola in Florida in the USA. So let's see what Alan has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Alan. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very
Except for it's
well.
probably not morning where you are, correct?
Yes, here is now afternoon, almost evening.
Okay. Well, it's 11 a.m. 11
Wow.
something a.m. So
So tell me, how's your morning going so far?
so far so good. So far so good. I did not get so jittery and nervous about this that I just so you didn't get an email from me saying I'm not going to do it or let's reschedule or anything like that. So far it's been a great day. How about you?
Been great being today in London. It's not very cold or very warm. Those. It was raining a little bit this morning, so it doesn't feel very cold this time of the year. So it's great. I mean, this time of the year meant to be very cold, but today it's kind of mild, so it's been good. Yes, for sure.
It's unusual. Well, here in Pensacola, um, I think today we're going to struggle to get out of the
Mhm.
50s and it's rainy and just sort of, they call it the Sunshine State, but sometimes it's not. So today's
So
one of those days.
so Pensilla is based in Florida, yeah, in the U.S.
Yes, yes. I am in the upper northwest corner of the state. So we lovingly refer to it as Lower Alabama or LA for short, because
Mhm.
it is basically, it's the last stop before you get to Mobile, Alabama. A lot of people outside of Florida kind of ask, I get a question a lot like, oh, you must go to Disney World all the time, thinking that everything is right around Orlando, but it's really not. We're about an 8 hour drive away. So
And Pensacola is the place where you're born and raised.
no, I'm originally from Huntsville, Alabama. So on the north end of Alabama. I'm originally from there. I've lived most of my adult life in Pensacola.
Okay.
So I moved here years ago with a previous job that I had. Fell in love with it here. Moved away and moved back a couple of other times. So um,
And
so so far it's where I plan to stay, but who knows?
and all your family are back in Alabama.
Yes, both of my parents have passed away, but I do have an older brother, and his wife and kids are up there. His whole family is up there.
And what do you do for work for living, Alan?
I am a human resources business partner for a PEO.
Okay.
So my elevator speech is small to medium-sized businesses hire us to be their HR department.
I
And
see.
so I act as kind of an HR manager for like 75 clients.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you like the most about your job?
I think, what's funny is people within human resources say um, there's never a dull moment. No 2 days are alike. But even more so when you're working with a PEO because you can pick up the phone and talk to somebody with a credit union, and then the next call could be like a plumbing company or something like that. So it is a very diverse, you know, job responsibility. Day in and day out is something different. So
Amazing. Great. So during the interview, I'm going to explore a little bit more about your life and also about your journey so far, okay?
okay.
But before we start our journey, William the Magic Box, I would like you to tell me something interesting about yourself or maybe something that not many people know about you.
Something interesting about me. Um, let's see how interesting this is. Because I don't find myself very interesting, to be honest with you. But I spent um half of my life in a very long-term relationship. So I've been divorced for 2.5 years. So and before that I was partnered and then ultimately married for a total of 28 years.
Wow.
So I jokingly say we met in middle school because there's no possible way that I could be old enough to have that long of a relationship and then be divorced for 2.5 years. But so I don't know how interesting that is, but it is something that is kind of shapes who I am today. So, and I
Oh
do
my
love
God.
to travel. And I think part of that is because I was, partnered in a relationship for that period of time. Now that I am single, I do like the idea of getting out and exploring, different cultures, different countries, different places. So,
It's very interesting for sure. I think, I think being in a very long relationship, it's a bless. You know what I mean? Not easy, it's like a curve, like up and downs. It's like a maintenance every day. I'm sure you know that very well, But however, it's a relationship, it's a
right,
memory that's always gonna be there. And I think sharing a life with someone for a long time, it's something very special because even though, it's not together anymore. I always see relationship never ending because it's just another phase of the relationship. You know what I mean? It's not together anymore. However, it's another phase because this person is gonna be in your life. Could be in memory, could be in your daily base habit. Something about this person that you always gonna have, and the opposite
right.
side as well. So I think it's beautiful to know that when someone have a very long relationship because it's love, it's love, it's companion, it's all together, and I think it's very interesting for sure. Amazing.
There's
Great.
a little more. There's actually there's a lot more to it. Um, 3 months after our divorce was final, he got sick. And then 6 months after that, he passed away.
Right.
So about close to 2 years ago, he passed away. So it was very, a very, very interesting, transition to go from, partnered, a married couple, and then we split up. It was a friendly split, but it was
Mm.
still a split. And then to go from that to watching him, I wasn't with him the entire time, which was kind of a blessing because he was able to spend his last several months with his family.
Wow.
So that part was a blessing in itself. So
I
yeah,
see.
so that's
No, I've got goosebumps now, Alan. You're saying that, and I think it's again, as I just said before, it's gonna be there forever. You know what I mean? It's just
yeah.
a different chapter. He just went somewhere that is gonna be part of your life. Yeah, and that's the good memories. That's always gonna be there. That's the good part as well. Amazing. Alan, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
Sure.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I have here my best friend. Of random fun questions, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play a song just for us to relax before the first question, okay? Let's do it. Okay, so before we start, yes, you can always join me dancing. So before we start the interview, during the join, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
Okay.
Amazing. Right. First question is, what does your best friends, what do they do that always comforts you?
What do they do that always comforts me?
Yeah.
Being from the South in the US, I love to eat. So anything that's centered around cooking, I find very comforting. So if someone were to cook a meal for me or possibly take me to dinner, but cooking meal, I think would even be more comforting in that way.
And what's your favorite dish? What's something that you could eat for the rest of your life?
Oh my gosh. Here where I am in Pensacola, we have great seafood and great fresh seafood. So I do enjoy fresh seafood. And usually I prefer to eat a little healthier, so probably something grilled or
Mhm.
blackened even. So
And saying that, which person in your life right now you feel more connected with, more close to?
I have several friends in I'm one thing about me is I am a sober guy. I go to AA meetings. I actually sponsor some guys. So there are a lot of great connections and great friendships that have formed through that, through that process. So so yeah, there are some friends and who I would consider chosen family within that network.
Okay, so they are watching this interview right now. When you have a moment and opportunity to send them a message, what would you say?
First, I would say thank you because getting to know and networking with people within the organization, within AA, it helps me because any of those connections that I can make, any way that I can possibly find that I'm helping somebody else, it actually helps me and it helps me to grow. So I would say thank you.
Beautiful. Next question. Let's do it. Okay, next question is, when have you been the most happy?
Wow, that's a good question. I think in the recent past, probably one of the best vacations that I've taken in my entire life was me and my best friend visited Rio about a year and a half ago. And it was just the trip itself was amazing and to explore that culture and that country. And we did it in a different type of way. We didn't do like a tour group. We didn't stay in an all-inclusive resort. It was something, we stayed at an Airbnb, got out and about, and visited the people and the places and the culture. It was great. We had a wonderful time the whole week we were there.
Oh my God, I'm from Brazil, and
Are you?
yeah, I'm not from Rio, but I used to live in Rio for 6 months in 2007. I was already living in Portugal, and I went back to Brazil for just for 6 months, and I stayed in Rio, and I was like, wow, my God, that's even for a Brazilian person, who stays in Rio, visits Rio is like, my God. So tell me, what was the highlight of your trip to Rio de Janeiro?
Uh, I was. It's hard to pick one thing because I'll say it this way. This is what I came back and told people. So
Okay.
first, there are three things I'll tell you. One is what everyone says about the people in Brazil is true. All the men are beautiful, all the women are beautiful. They take great care of themselves. It's incredible. The food was amazing. I have not tasted such fresh fruit and
Yeah.
just you know um and I loved how inexpensive everything was, so I could do a lot on we could do a lot more during that trip because things were so affordable.
Wow.
um I, I have to add another thing because the nature and the landscape itself was incredible. We stayed in, and I can't remember what they call it, but it was a renovated one of those apartments that was on the side of the mountain. There's a name for it, and I can't remember, but the view that we had from where we were staying was incredible. And then also, anytime we would go down towards the city and then look back up at the mountainside with the apartments just kind of scattered along the mountains. That was just incredible. It was beautiful. It was different from what I would see in the US. So the botanical gardens there were also amazing. Interacting with the monkeys that come up looking for food. It was really funny.
Talking about happiness, do you think that happiness is a choice?
Yes. Yes.
Tell me
Uh,
about it.
In a word, yes. I'll say this because I think we choose our own attitudes. And life gives us good things and bad things. Life gives us adversity at times, and we have to find how we will manage to get through that. Within within AA, one of the things that we rely on is the serenity prayer, which is God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. So it really is a kind of a mantra to use towards, when adverse situations happen, that you can choose to be happy. I'm only in control with how I react to a certain thing. So if I choose to react in a positive and kind and respectful way, then in a way, I'm choosing happiness.
Beautiful. Next question. Ready?
Yes.
Let's do it. Next question. Before the next question, Alan, of course, you mentioned already about AA, about being sober. Yeah. Are you okay to
Yeah.
talk about it?
Sure.
Yeah. So tell me, when was the moment that realized, okay, I need to, to start a new journey. I need to work on myself. I need to see, different path, regarding that. Did something happen, or just naturally you just kind of find a way to start this journey?
That's a good question. I think how it works with people, everybody's different. Everybody's path is a little bit different. For me, it was less about one defining moment, and it was more over the course of years. I knew that um, I knew the I knew being sober was a better option for me.
Mm-hmm.
That I shouldn't say a better option, really the only option for me. It took a number of years to get to that point that,
Mm-hmm.
because for so many years, and I think it's ingrained in each of us as human beings, we think we can control it. We're kind of built, there's a control factor that's built into all of us, that we think we can control everything. Plus, we can control our drinking. And some people can. A lot of people do it, and they do it successfully, and everything's fine. Um, but for me, that's not the case. So I know that so anyway, to answer your question, there wasn't really a defining moment. It was just over the course of years that it really happened. And I think this time in my most recent sobriety, things fell into place in a way that made me know that I needed to follow the path
I
to
see.
being
And so
sober.
far, since you start your new journey as a sober person, um, what's something new about you that you kind of learn about yourself, since you start that journey? There's something about it?
That's a good question. I have learned to be more open-minded, I think. I think that's probably the most striking thing about me. I always thought that I was open-minded before. I mean, my gosh, I'm a gay guy. I should be open-minded. But there are certain aspects of life that I've learned more recently to open my mind, open my understanding up, to see things from a different point of view. It definitely helps me not only with my journey to stay sober, but also in everyday life. When I'm dealing with individuals at work, it definitely helps to be able to see things from other people's point of view.
Okay, next question is, what do you think is a good age to start dating and why?
A good age to start dating. Um, wow. You know, I'm going to answer this question a couple of different ways, and because I think it's kind of tough. I can't even tell you my first date in high school because I went to probably homecoming with a girl. you know, and I probably would have been either 15 or 16. Um, Looking back on it, if I was dating a guy, I don't think I would have been ready for it at that point. I wasn't really ready to date at all, if you think in terms of dating. But I would probably say, for me, when I started dating, when I knew what I wanted, when I knew that I was more attracted to men, I think around 20 or 21 is when it felt comfortable for me to really date in a more, in a serious way, and to be able to put my best foot forward, I guess.
Saying that, of course, sorry, of course, being in a long relationship, after that kind of starts dating life again. It's something new for you. It's something that you haven't explored for quite a while now. So, how has been for you? How do you see this, new way of dating with the apps, with the fast way of meeting people? People cross your life nowadays. It's so easy to see or to meet people casually, or for with different intentions. How do you see that since you start this new journey?
I have been in 2.5 years, I've probably been on maybe 5 dates,
Uh-huh.
like real dates. And
Yeah.
um, maybe six, you know. So I may not be the best person to ask that question to, except for what I've learned and what I found is everything is completely different than how I left it about 30 years ago. So to borrow a joke that I've heard people say, it's like I met my ex-husband the old-fashioned way in a bar. Literally he bumped into me on the dance floor. So
Yeah.
then fast forward 30 years, no one really goes to bars anymore. So it's just a little different. And meeting people through the apps and online it's a lot different. It's
Yeah.
I'm doing the best I can to try and navigate it. If any of your viewers have tips, I am all ears.
And one person to go on a date with you, what this person must have? What's something about the person that gets your attention straight away?
Wow. Um, that's a tough question because I think the first and foremost what I'm looking for is somebody who is um, humble, respectful. They need to have a good sense of humor, um, empathetic, caring. So there's a lot. So there's a lot to look for. Looks wise to me, appearances, yes, looks are important, but it's secondary to what's underneath, in my opinion, for sure.
Great. Next question. Let's do it. Okay. Next question is: do you have any pet peeves?
Mm. I think the first thing that popped in my mind was I think ignorance from a discriminatory or racist or anti-gay standpoint. Anybody who or ignorance from an intolerance standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
That's definite pet peeve. That probably goes beyond pet peeve, but that's a pet peeve for sure. That's the first
Mm-hmm.
thing that popped in my mind when you asked the question. So
And when you think about yourself, when you analyze Alan, what's the best joy of being you?
I try to be someone who is helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I may go a little far with that and be like too much of a people pleaser, but I really try to be helpful and try to um, be a good friend to anyone who has a need. I think in talking about like my work in general, like as an HR professional, it's really all about that. I'm not saving lives in an OR, but I am helping people navigate their lives through their job. helping them through, different paths, whether it's learning about their benefits or training opportunities or things like that. But it's also, it's really just helping them along the way. So that's I think for me what I pride myself on.
And saying that, working HR, of course, as you just mentioned now, you work with people. Yeah, people, there's always interaction there. Some people, they are a bit scared of from people from HR. They go like, oh my God,
Mhm.
they're from HR. There's always the stigma as well. And of course, you can see the joy of it, that you love your work. However, what do you find most challenging about maybe work with people or maybe working in HR? There is something?
I think within my role, probably the one of the challenges, because I spent most of my years working in corporate HR. So I worked for one company and helping support their mission, vision, values. To transition from that to working with 70 to 75 different clients, I'm supporting multiple companies, views, their policies, their processes. You have to learn the different personalities in order to be able to interact with the CEO of, these different companies. So I think that's one of the bigger challenges. You mentioned too, another piece of it, how um, I found throughout my career, and it's hard because I find myself really willing to be helpful to everybody, but then I have employees who are afraid to pick up the phone when I call them. So, so it's kind of a challenge sometimes for me to feel like I'm living my mission of being able to help people and when they're afraid to talk to me. But and I'm not that scary of a person. I don't.
It's interesting saying that because a few years ago, so I was working in a company, and there was this lady for HR, and she was going to the other floor, and just to grab something in the kitchen or something, and she was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna go now. People are gonna be wondering why I'm walking around here. Why?" Because she was from HR.
Sure.
She made me laugh about it because she said that I never go to the second floor, but when I need to go there, I just people are looking at me like, "What you doing here? What you checking?" It was so
I've
funny.
heard that a lot. I've heard that a lot. Why are you calling me? Why are you in my department?
Three questions left. Let's do it.
Sure.
Okay, Alan from Florida. Before the next question, being a gay boy, yeah, growing up in Alabama. So tell me, how was your experience? Did you have the support of your family at the time? People around you, or was it a bit difficult, tricky?
Gosh, we could do a whole segment on this probably, but being being gay in Alabama, it was a challenge, and I'm of an age where it was certainly not accepted nearly as much a number of years ago. I came out in the '80s, and it was quite different. I'm actually a gay bash survivor. I was apprehended by a couple of guys and attacked and beaten almost to death, honestly. If
Well,
it hadn't been for a cab driver pulling up behind me as I fought my way out of a car, it would, could have ended a lot worse. So, not to, go to that level, but that was the environment and what I felt uh, when I was coming to terms with myself in Alabama. My parents didn't know until uh, until I had met my partner. So I was in my upper 20s. I had moved away from home, and my brother actually outed me to my parents. So, um, and kind of a funny story in itself because and I'll tell this because I think it's kind of funny. My parents were divorced, and my brother did that in a way to get a one up on me. So he and my dad were out, you know, having beers together, and he ended up telling my dad, I know something about my brother that you don't know. And so then my dad, based on the way the story was told to me, my dad, when he got home, called my mom at early hours of the morning, called my mom and said, "Did you know that your son is gay?" And her response is priceless, in my opinion, because she said, "Of course I knew. A mother knows, a mother always knows. And if you were half the father you should have been, you would have known too." And she said,
Wow, I love it. I love
and
it.
she, but once we talked about it, my parents loved me just as much as, and they were supportive. They loved my ex-husband just as, accepted him as part of the family.
Wow,
It was, it was fine. I was afraid of, something that really turned out to be nothing, because they loved and accepted me just, just the same. My
wow,
mom had said at one point, she was always, in her concern was that I would not be happy, that she was worried that I just wouldn't be happy, but she knew that I was in a loving relationship at the time. So, she knew that I was happy.
wow. And as you mentioned, I love this story about your mom mentioned that. I think it's great, and she said everything. I think it's real. I think our parents sometimes they know us even better than ourselves. Do you know what I mean? I totally agree with that. My question for you is, knowing that now, like when she said that, in your opinion, did you know or did you think that she knew it or not? From your point of view,
I think she knew, um, I think she knew enough that that it's hard for me to say this the way that I want to say it. I think she knew enough. Like I think she knew her son was gay. I didn't think she knew enough to understand it completely.
I see.
I think that took a few years for us to, to talk through things, and for her to really have an understanding that, it's not a choice. It's something I was born with. It's not, those were things that came a little bit later. But I think she knew, because she just knew, moms know. And, but, you know,
It's great. I'm gonna share a story with you. I had a lovely man on the show, which he's gay, and his mom. I had after a few weeks, I interviewed his mom. She, I invited her and she goes to the show, and this topic about about being gay, and she said something so beautiful, and she said, William, I think every mom should have a gay son, or or a gay or something, a lesbian, or any other part of the LGBTQ plus community, because she said it's a bless when you have, a son, a gay son, because she said I've learned so much about that. I'm a different person knowing that. I educate myself a lot about something that maybe if I didn't have a gay son, I would never know. So I think it was beautiful when she shared that. I think it was great to hear that from a mom. I think it was amazing. Okay, next question is, what's the biggest difference between you and your best friend and the biggest similarity?
hmm. Um, okay, this is really kind of funny because, my best friend, when we traveled in Rio, we our the argument, because we were spent 7 days together, so so our biggest argument was over the fact that I liked talking to people and he did not. And
Right.
so so, so I think that points out the biggest difference between the two of us is, I would just walk up to someone who, like we were at the botanical gardens, for example, walked up to somebody, they had great pictures of things that we had not seen. And I was flabbergasted. So we exchanged contact information. They sent me photos, and
Uh-huh.
and my friend is over just looking at me like, how can you do, like here I am stumbling over every word that I say, and you're just, and I'm like, because I just have no shame. I'll talk to whomever. I mean, I'm just so, um,
You should say I work HR, so this is my job.
it's just part of it. It's just part of the deal. Um, and I think from a different standpoint, I spent 28 years in a relationship where I was overshadowed a lot of times. And so being able to come out from that,
Of
and
course.
find my own voice, it probably annoys people at times, but it's part of what I do. Um, let's see, our biggest similarity is probably we didn't have any sort of disagreements. We never argue over food. We love the same food. We love the same, and it's almost like we would be in the same mood for the same thing just about all the time. So there again, commonality of people in the South in the US is food. So
Amazing.
which
It's good to know that.
yes,
Okay, next question is, what do you think are the best traits for a person to have?
best traits for a person to have. Um, I think empathy would probably to me top the list because I think if for me to be able to have empathy for a fellow person, that whether I know them or not, to have an idea of, put myself in their shoes, it really helps me to understand other people better. So I think that's probably one of the biggest traits. That a good sense of humor, also, those are probably the top of my list. Respectful. Oh, we're not asking about dating potential, are we? So, okay.
What's the meaning of life for you, Alan?
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. For me, it's probably going to go back to helping people. If I can feel like I've made a difference um, in somebody's life or have made a difference. And I'll give you an example, not to toot horns or anything, but when I started my AA journey here in Pensacola, we did not have an LGBTQ focused group. So now we do because I started one a few months ago. So
Wow,
and it's something that based on the feedback that I've heard, that gives me, energy to keep moving, and it gives me reason to stay sober and reason to stay focused on being able to help the next person. Um, so that to me is probably not just starting this group, but having an opportunity to be of service to others.
wow. And okay, so people, part of the LGBTQ plus community who's watched this interview right now, and maybe they would like to join your group. What's the best way? What's something about it that's, something maybe different or unique about this group that you started that stands out compared with others around there?
That's that's a good question. We do the meetings are local to Pensacola, so we don't have Zoom meetings in place just yet. But anybody who is visiting the area, we would love to host host them at one of our welcome them to show up to one of our meetings. We You can email us. It's prideinrecoverypensacola@gmail.com. So they're shameless plug there, but we meet 3 days a week, and even if somebody is interested in, shoot me an email, and if somebody's going to be in town and they have at least a year of sobriety, we do speaker meetings every other week. So we would love to welcome somebody to address our group and share their experience, strength, and hope with our folks. So it's a standard group, but it
Love
is
that,
an open meeting, so it doesn't have to be someone who
of
is part
course.
of the AA community. They could just come in to show their support.
Amazing. Love that. Amazing. Last question, ready?
Yes.
Let's do it. Last question. Did you kind of learn some Portuguese when you were in Brazil or not?
No. I did.
I like the way you said you're kind of
Just
thinking,
no.
no,
No. I wish I had, but I will tell you, Google Translate is such a wonderful tool. It's a great tool because we were able to use it just in, the Uber drivers, they understood that we were tourists, and so everybody was fine. The little tip that I did not know with Google Translate is that you can turn on Google Translate, hover over a menu, and it translates the words on the screen. Had not it, That blew me away. So
Didn't know, didn't know that.
so
Interesting.
you didn't know that? It's You have to have the app to do it, but it works. But here's the struggle. You asked me if I learned any Portuguese. No, because Google Translate is such a great tool. It did it for me.
Amazing. Before the last question, I'm gonna ask a question in two parts.
Okay.
The first part of the question is, through those years that you were dealing with, alcoholic, like alcoholism, or your addiction before you start your job journey. My question based on this is, um, what's something that you've learned through those that challenge journey for you? That's, of course, we always learn the good or bad place job. There's always something to learn. What for you did you learn that you are great somehow? You are grateful for that challenge journey that somehow was part of your life. That's now you're not there anymore. And the second part of the question is, if you have the superpower of erasing that from your life, yeah, that's challenge journey, the same one that I'm talking about, would you do it or would you keep it, knowing the person you are today?
That's a really good question. I think during um, I think the thing that I learned about myself that was the worst part is how easy it was for me to um, it's hard to say this out loud, honestly, but how easy it was for me to be deceptive, how easy it was for me to lie about what I was doing, about what I was not doing. Then what's interesting about it is that initially, when I thought of that, then that was, oh my gosh, I can't believe. But then when I look back over the course of my life as a young teenage gay guy in Alabama, I lied, deceived, covered up. I didn't share a huge part of my life with people then. And then fast forward to my raging active alcoholism, I was hiding a huge portion of my life from people even more
Wow,
recently. So what I learned is that, that part of me, it was an ugly part of me, but it's part of what I think without reaching um, the ugly stages of my addiction, I can't appreciate how far I've come, and I can't appreciate where I am right now. So I would not erase it.
wow.
Um, I just wouldn't because something I heard somebody say once is you have to be grateful for the bad days so that you know what the
Yeah,
good days look like, so
absolutely. Absolutely. And we learn a lot as well on those bad days because they are a powerful place to be. Yeah. Because I think they are so powerful because if you are facing that situation, not just that, but could be any other situation that we are facing, you go like, okay, there is an opportunity here for me to learn something, why I'm in this, situation or in this environment or in this place, or it could be anything. I had a lovely interview with a lovely man as well from England. A few months ago, and he's just started a sober journey and he's still posting every day. It's fascinating to see how happy he's feeling right now. And he said something important as well. He said, William, when I was dealing with my addiction, it's all about take, and now he's about give. He says that's the what he learned a lot. And when you just said now about this, this group that you just started now, it's about give, because you are literally give opportunity for other people to work in themselves or to start other journey, and I think that makes all sense. Yeah, amazing. Okay, last question for you is, what's your most embarrassing moment?
oh my gosh. The first one that pops in my head is from my teenage years, and I the house I grew up in, there was I'll just say it this way. My brother and I were home alone, and somebody had come to the back door. Well, the back door was a sliding glass door. And when the overhead light was on, there was a glare, so you couldn't really see who was on the other side of the sliding glass door. I assumed it was our parents coming in from, coming in. I just assumed it was our parents. Um, so I walked over to unlock the door and open it, and it was my brother's girlfriend, and I was just wearing my underwear. So,
Ooh,
yeah. There's probably more embarrassing moments since then, but that was the first one that popped in my head. So,
amazing. Right, it's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking.
okay.
Okay, let's start with money,
Power,
fear,
addiction,
life,
death,
love,
compromising,
family,
unit,
sex.
love.
You said love. Politics.
Sorry, politics,
Yeah.
division,
Religion.
oppression,
Friendship.
love,
Desire.
sex,
Regrets.
sex.
I knew you'd say that. I knew you'd say that for some reason. Success. Sex.
Failure.
I'm joking.
Well,
I said sex. Joking. Right. Success.
um, I said failure, but yeah, just because that's what popped in my head. Sorry. Sex is
Not,
better though. I like that answer better.
not right or wrong. Wish.
I'm sorry.
Wish.
Granted.
Happiness.
Desire.
One word for Alabama.
Oppression.
One word for Pensacola.
Happy.
USA. One word.
Division.
One word for HR.
Helpful.
And the last one now, Rio de Janeiro. One word.
Ooh. Glorious.
Amazing. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your friends, the one you went to Rio. Okay, I'm going to meet him for a coffee, and I'm going to ask him, define Alan in one positive and one negative word only. What he would say?
Negative word only. Positive, I think he would say that I'm outgoing.
Okay.
The negative would be that untrustworthy.
Oh.
He was there at the bitter end of my active addiction. So yeah.
And how did your path crossed?
We've known each other for 20 plus years. We met through a mutual friend.
And he's from
the early years of me moving to Pensacola the very first time. So
he's from Florida, not from Alabama.
yes.
Okay. Let's play now Alan and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. Okay, but before you asking the question, people watching this interview right now, maybe they are facing addiction situation that they don't see a way out. Maybe they're struggling with alcohol or any other thing that somehow is holding them back. What would be your best piece of advice for those people?
First thing I would say is talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. There are places that are helpful. AA, go to aa.org and reach out to somebody. There's somebody at the 1-800 number right now waiting to speak to someone having struggles.
Wow. I'm going to ask another question for you, Alan. Do you remember the last sip of alcohol you ever had? The last one?
I remember the last day, but I don't necessarily remember the last
Okay.
step. Yeah.
I see. Okay. You can ask me a question now, Alan.
Of all the places you've traveled in the world, what is your most favorite and why?
Great question. Great question. And, there are so many places that I've been that, I loved it and I enjoyed a lot. But I'm going to be very honest. The first one that came to my mind straight away, it's Montreal in Canada. And I'll tell you why. My best friend, he lives there, and my godson, my 5-year-old godson, lives there as well. And so it's my favorite place because all the time when I go to Montreal, to Canada, it's a beautiful place to be. I love there. I think people there are so friendly in the scenery as well, the scenery, and it's beautiful. And of course, having someone so special there, so it makes even more special. So yes, I would go right now. I would go for I would say Montreal in Canada. That's one of my favorite places. That's I love to go there, and I'm so glad that my best friend took the decision to live there, because maybe if he didn't, I would maybe just visit as a tourist, as like just for a few days, and I try to go every year to see my godson. So yeah, I would say Montreal right now for sure.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Did you enjoy the interview?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thanks again, Alan, for taking the time for the interview. Thanks again for being so open and talks about, some topics that maybe, it's not easy sometimes. And, I think people appreciate that, because we never know who's watching this interview right now, and maybe seeing someone talking so open about it, who has been through a journey that wasn't very, very, like, I don't know, it was hard to be there. And seeing someone talking so open about it, I appreciate a lot, because it's encouraging people to see that there are always someone there that we can trust, we can talk, we can somehow start something new. So thanks again for taking the time for the interview. And before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Oh, that's a tough one. That's the hardest question. You saved the hardest question for last. I think I would want, for me, I want to be the person that my dog thinks that I am. I don't currently have a dog, but that look that they give you, it's unconditional love, and I want to be that person.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks so much. Enjoy your day, and keep in touch. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Okay? Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye, Alan.
Bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye-bye. See you next time.